We're following several developing stories tonight that includes COVID cases in the Miami Valley on the rise again, and a health desert in West Dayton has new concerns. But first, the Dayton Foundation awarding 43 Greater Dayton charities total of $1.2 million in its competitive grant awards tonight. One of those organizations is East End Community Services. It's receiving $125,000 to renovate 2 joint warehouses that'll double their facility space. Allison Walker is live now. So, Allison, the foundation only accepted 20% of these applications. How exactly did it narrow it down?
Well, Adam, they received countless funding project proposals, and they chose the organizations that are addressing the greatest needs in the community. The foundation tells me that 43 organizations they chose are in the realm of health and human services, the arts, and environmental efforts. But now take a listen to hear why the foundation ended up giving the East End Community Services one of the largest donations.
East End Community Services is an anchor institution in their community. They're respected by people who live in the community. They have Miracle Makers program. They partner with schools. They partner with other organizations to serve their residents.
And we provide a great big after school and summer program that's going on right now. We've got about 200 kids in our summer program, and it's all about helping the kids build their academic skills, their social skills, so that they do better in school as their family income rises.
So, Allison, East End Community Services is receiving $125,000, as we mentioned. Can you tell us a little bit more about their renovation plans?
Yes, well, Adam, they tell me that they serve roughly 5,000 families a year, but have very limited space in their current small yet 3 separate facilities. And that's why they tell me their goal with this renovation is to renovate 2 attached 2-story warehouse buildings that are located just adjacent to their current location right here behind me. And they say they're already halfway to their over $6 million funding goal. But be sure to tune in tonight at 6:30 on Fox 45 to learn more about the organization's impact and to see their renovation blueprints. Back to you.
Allison, thanks. A live look at our roads right now from our ODOT cameras as I-70 has gotten a new lane. Governor Mike DeWine joining ODOT officials today to cut the ribbon on a major reconstruction of that stretch of highway in Clark County. So the 4-year, $50 million project added a 3rd lane in each direction between Columbus and Dayton, and it'll make travel safer, more reliable, and quicker.
What we celebrate today is important for highway safety. It's important to save lives, but it's also important as we attract more business to Ohio and we grow Ohio. And we create more jobs in the state.
So that project also replaced existing pavement. 7 bridges, noise walls, improved drainage, and cable barriers in the median were installed to reduce the risk of crossover crashes. All right, so let's talk weather now. It was in the 80s, but boy, it felt a lot warmer, Natalie. Is that humidity kind of nuts today, or was it just me?
It's dropping a little bit. We got a cold front that made its way through, so it will feel just a little bit better. But we're in the lower 80s right now. It was overall just a pretty hot, little bit of a humid day. 83 in Dayton, 79 right now in Urbana. In fact, our winds are now from the northwest as some slightly cooler air is starting to slide in. In fact, you can see we're 4 degrees cooler up in Wapakoneta compared to this time yesterday, 2 degrees cooler in Springfield compared to this time yesterday. Now, looking through the overnight hours, we will drop to 63 for our overnight low. So a little bit cooler than we were last night. We were in the 70s last night, and going to be a mild night as well with quiet conditions. But coming up, I'm talking about the rest of the week's forecast and when we'll get some rain back in the mix too.
Natalie, thanks. A very rainy evening in Washington, D.C. tonight. That's a live look at the U.S. Capitol building. The January 6th committee held another hearing there today. Today's focus, the timeline and the far right-wing groups that stormed the Capitol in January of 2021. Testimony told the story of how many people in former President Trump's inner circle felt he needed to concede the election and stop trying to overturn it. But the other side encouraged Trump to fight on. At one point, a heated 6-hour-long meeting was screaming and name-calling.
I think that it got to the point where the screaming was completely out there. I mean, you got people walk in, it was late at night, it had been a long day, and what they were proposing, I thought was nuts.
Among those ideas, invoking martial law, which would have given Trump broad authority to strengthen his grip on power. Not long after, former President Trump pushed for a protest to oppose Congress certifying the vote, sent out the now infamous tweet telling his supporters to, quote, "Be there, we'll be wild." An Ohio man testifying today.
Why'd you decide to march to the Capitol?
Well, basically, the president, got everybody riled up, told everybody to head on down. So we basically were just following what he said.
So as you started marching, did you think there was still a chance the election would be overturned?
Yeah, at that time I did.
Did you think that the president would be marching with you?
Yeah, I think everybody thought he was going to be coming down.
At least one more hearing is still expected. And a live look at the White House now, where President Biden and Mexican President Obrador met today. That meeting comes after Obrador declined Biden's invitation to attend last month's Summit of the Americas because the leaders of Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela were not invited. The two leaders have disagreed on things like Ukraine policy. Obrador calls the U.S. support for Ukraine a quote, crass error, and says more money should go to Central America instead.
And despite the overhyped headlines that we sometimes see, you and I have a strong and productive relationship.
The leaders discussed issues along the border and solutions for legal pathways for migrants so they can come into the U.S. The two also looked into enhancing law enforcement cooperation against fentanyl smuggling. The Biden administration wants to let all adults under the age of 50 get a second COVID booster. So right now, they're only authorized for people who are over 50 or immunocompromised. Now, this could help counteract the latest Omicron subvariants, which health officials say are very contagious. But some regulators say they might want to first reformulate that vaccine to better fight the subvariants. The move would need regulatory approval, of course, from the FDA and CDC. Now, this comes as the White House says the U.S. is seeing double the number of COVID hospitalizations since April. They're saying it's because of those new variants. BA4 and BA5 are more transmissible and can evade COVID vaccines. Clara Faith spoke with Greene County Public Health Department today after the county raised its risk level from medium to high. So, Clara, what did Greene County have to say about the uptick in cases there?
Greene County officials say they have seen reported cases spike to more than 380 since last week. They are recommending people in Greenville County to wear a mask while in public. And also, if you feel sick, to stay home. Plus, they also ask people if you do have COVID test weapons at home is to use them if needed. Also, officials say hospitalization has increased since this month.
We are starting to see the hospitalizations increase just a little bit. In about a week, they doubled. We went from about 12 to about 23 hospitalizations.
So, Clara, is Greene County still offering testing or vaccines?
As of right now, on-site testing has ended, but if you do take a COVID test at home, they're asking people to report your positive results to Greene County Public Health website. Now for their vaccination clinic, that is open on Friday mornings from 8:30 till 10. Reporting live in Xenia, Clara Faith, Dayton 24/7 Now News.
Clara, thank you. Local families struggling to keep up due to record high prices at the grocery store. Alex King spoke with local food bank about the growing need in our community.
Food pantries are struggling as inflation drives up need in the Miami Valley. During COVID, the Greene County Fish Food Pantry here behind me saw about 1,300 families per month. But once the virus started settling down, that number went down to around 750 families per month. Right now, it's back up to 1,100 families, and kids are home from school, which adds food needs for families. Plus, the high prices of products is leaving even more people in need of extra help. Executive Director Gail Matson says they aren't the only nonprofit struggling to keep up. She says they rely solely on individual donations and grants. They're also in need of more volunteers as more families come to the pantry for help.
Alex, thanks. Well, this week we're teaming up with For Love of Children to provide food to those in need. It all kicks off this Thursday at the Dayton Mall, right next to the DSW. Now, this food drive is all about helping provide food to the Dayton Food Bank as they work to ensure kids don't go hungry during the summer months while school is out. So here's how you can help. You can check out the list on your screen. Those are the items that they're looking for you to donate if possible. You can drop all of these things off starting on Thursday and again on Friday.
And still ahead, healthcare disparities in West Dayton. We'll hear from residents how they believe the overturning of Roe v. Wade will impact them.
Also, new updates tonight from Mason on last night's officer-involved shooting. We're learning what happened and why a state organization is investigating.
Plus, I'm tracking some summer-like weather and when we'll see our next chance for rain that's coming up. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Healthcare disparities impacting the West Dayton community. Mamie Boss spoke with residents who are concerned following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So, Mamie, what are they telling you?
Well, they fear what's to come, and so does one doctor I spoke with, saying, like you've heard plenty of times before, that this will take us back to a dark time, back alley and basement abortions. They also say many people will be playing doctor, and that's something they don't want to see in West Dayton, since the healthcare options in the area are scarce. Many of them talking about Good Samaritan Hospital, saying that that's the only hospital where women could give birth, and that hospital is now closed.
So you just spoke with Dayton's mayor, I understand, about an hour or so ago. What did he have to say about this?
Well, the mayor had a lot to say. The mayor says healthcare disparities in places where you have a high percentage of people in poverty is challenging. He says it's very concerning that people may be in difficult situations and take desperate measures, but he's asking residents not to do that. Coming up tonight at 10 and 11, we'll hear more from him. I also reached out to healthcare professionals. We'll hear from Kettering and Premier Health. Back to you.
Mamie, thanks. We're also learning more about the Springfield couple involved in a workplace murder-suicide near Columbus. So police say the man and woman are immigrants from Haiti, but so far have not been identified. Luann Stoya joining us now with the new details released from investigators.
People here in the communities surrounding Groveport are trying to come to grips with what police are calling a murder-suicide in the workplace. Now, police are investigating whether the man and woman involved are from Haiti. They tell us Homeland Security has determined that they had non-lawful status. Law enforcement expected to release body camera video after they responded to the active shooter incident. Detectives tell me they've investigated 3 homicides in Groveport in 25 years. Coincidentally, officers involved in that workplace shooting are now taking training here on active shooter response. I'm Luann Stoya reporting.
Luann, thank you. And police in Mason shot and killed an escaped inmate after a long standoff with him overnight. Thomas Cromwell escaped from the River City Correctional Center over the weekend. He was then tracked to the Baymont Hotel in Mason and was involved in a lengthy standoff. James Pilcher is in Lebanon tonight, shows us what happened.
So what started as an escaped inmate situation apparently turned into a deadly hostage situation here in Warren County. Thomas Cromwell, the 27-year-old, escaped from a low security correctional center in Cincinnati early Saturday morning, but somehow made his way up here to Mason at a hotel near the Beachwater Park, where apparently he met a woman who went to his room willingly here at the hotel. But then this is all according to the Warren County prosecutor, David Fornshell. But apparently after that, when the police showed up, he began to threaten her and barricaded himself in the room. That led to an hours-long standoff. Those threats apparently escalated, and the police eventually, the Warren County Tactical Squad was called in. They breached the door. He was holding her at knife point. That knife was found at the scene, and they killed him with a single gunshot. The officer who fired that shot has not yet been identified, nor the agency which with their work has. The Warren County Tactical Squad includes many, many different jurisdictions. The BCI from Ohio is now investigating and handling the investigation. No word on how long that will take or when the name of the officer who fired the shot will be released. Back to you guys.
Well, quiet day across the Miami Valley. We saw a couple of showers earlier into the morning due to a cold front pushing through, which is now just to the south of us. You can see active weather, in fact, severe weather moving through parts of Kentucky into West Virginia and Virginia as well, getting severe thunderstorm warnings as that front continues to push through. But it's been quiet for us. Slightly cooler, a little less humid conditions sliding into the area, and we're going to be pretty quiet. Plan on clear skies overnight. Now, for tomorrow, we are going to monitor another front to our north, which will bring a very small chance for a shower, thunderstorm popping up by tomorrow afternoon and evening. But otherwise, most of us will be dry, and then it's not until really Friday we track another storm system off to our west. That'll bring another chance for rain.
Natalie, thanks. All Equitas Health locations are back open now after the company received threatening calls, forcing them to shut down. Alexis Moberger learning more tonight about the threat and what patients need to know about it.
This location and all of Equitas Health here in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton have reopened all of their offices after a series of credible threats. We're told a Dayton man made repeated threatening calls yesterday to an Equitas Health office in Columbus. After the threats were deemed credible, the company reached out to law enforcement and they put in security protocols right away. We're still not sure what the threat included, but there is now heightened security at all offices as law enforcement continues to investigate. Equitas did say if patients don't feel comfortable coming into a medical center, they can put a request in for a telehealth appointment. Back to you.
Alexis, thank you. The FDA is weighing the first ever over-the-counter birth control pill. O-pill would be a progestin-only pill available without a prescription. CDC data tells us more than 65% of women 15 to 49 used contraception between 2015 and 17. Of those, 14% used oral contraceptive pills. Now, this would dramatically increase access to birth control across the country.
It's incredibly safe, and there's very rare instances where a woman shouldn't take it.
It typically takes around 10 months for the FDA to review an application for a prescription to switch to over-the-counter, so it might take a little bit of time before this is actually available. Well, in just a few days, the National Suicide Crisis Line is changing numbers. It'll be a major change when calling for help, but the good news is it's an easy number to remember. Jenna Cisneros breaking down what you need to know about the change and who exactly you'll get when you call.
988. That's the number starting this Saturday that you'll want to call for suicide or mental health related crisis support. Shortened to a 3-digit number, 988 will connect you to the nearest available mental health counselor in your area. When you call, text, or chat 988, you'll be connected to trained counselors who are part of the existing National Suicide Prevention Lifeline Network. These trained counselors will listen, provide support, and connect you to resources if necessary.
And this is just one way to remove a barrier to access, and I really hope that people take advantage of being able to reach out for help easier.
The current Lifeline number will not go away. 988 is just an easier number to remember. 988 launches nationally Saturday. Back to you.
Well, a little breezy behind our cold front, and we'll continue to see some drier, slightly cooler air begin to make its way into the Miami Valley. But overall, plan on 80s in the forecast. So near normal for this time of the year. Here's a look at what we're tracking over these next several days. 80s tomorrow, mid 80s, and then a little cooler Thursday, Friday. Humidity will be slightly better by the end of the week too. But overall, it's better than the 90s. We do start to heat up a bit more by Saturday, Sunday, back in the mid 80s, and that's with some humidity returning as well. But coming up, have a look at that 7-day and what we're expecting into next week as well.
Natalie, thanks. Well, it is not a wild goose chase. Wild turkeys have gotten very comfortable in Hilliard. That's near Columbus. Neighbors have coined them the Hilliard Turkey Gang, and they've set up their nests in the community's hearts. Some neighbors now even know the birds' eating schedules and are sending out feeders just for them. Caroline Cohen finds out what all the feathered fuss is about.
The Hilliard turkeys may just be the most popular residents in town. After searching high and low, we came to find them and figure out, well, why did the turkeys cross the road? The turkeys have been around since about spring, and now they've kind of urbanized. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources saying this is likely their new home. They're safe to take pictures of and to observe from a distance, and you'll often find them walking around and feeding from the locals' bird feeders, but ODNR warns people not to get too close, certainly don't hand feed, and don't give them things that you would find in your home, like bread. I'm Caroline Cohen reporting.
Well, our new episode of our Missing Erica Baker podcast is now available. What you can expect in our web exclusives and how you can find all of our behind-the-scenes information. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. Here's your stocks. Missing Erica Baker, episode 5 is out now. It's available on all podcast providers. Nathan Edwards shows us where you can find web exclusives about that case.
With episode 5 out right now, we've got some web exclusives for you up on Dayton247now.com. On the main podcast page, you can see the trial tapes, which show Erica Baker's grandmother's testimony against Christian Gabriel. And if you head over to our YouTube page, just search Dayton 24/7 Now. It's actually got an old story from a couple years back about Christian Gabriel's release from prison, and a unique moment actually when he hopped into the grandmother's car and she tried to get him to lead her to Erica's body. Now we hear from the grandmother firsthand in the podcast. You can subscribe now on all podcast providers. Also, make sure you check out our website, Dayton247now.com.
You can scan this QR code. It's on your screen right now. You can check out the podcast. It'll take you to our website where there'll be links to full episodes and those web extras that Nathan just talked about, all related to our investigation. That podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Missing Erica Baker. 5 episodes are available right now.
Well, we saw a trace of precipitation in Dayton for today. Some places did see just a little bit more, but either way, for the month, take a look at this. All of June, we saw 2.64 inches of rain. So far in July, we're already ahead of that, 2.79 inches of rain. So thankfully, we were able to get a good amount of rain last week, but we have another pretty dry stretch of weather in the forecast. Taking a look at what we're expecting next several days, if you wanted to mow the lawn, a chance for rain on Thursday, Friday, and then as we head into these next couple of days, we'll also be looking at some pretty small rain in the rain chances in the forecast, I should say. Here's a look as we head into these next 7 days. All right, it wants to go through all my other graphics for you. But as we head into tomorrow, we're actually looking at 60s, 80s eventually in the forecast. I will post that 7-day online. You guys can see it there. And then also coming up here soon for 6:30.
That rain statistic is crazy, but I guess it doesn't surprise me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Natalie, thanks. Thanks for being with us. We're over on Fox Next. We'll see you there.